Hello, hello, everybody. How are you doing here on Saturday? It's so good to be with all of you here on the next episode of STATURDAY Chat Live. I hope you are all doing well. I've had a great morning myself, got some exercise in, got some things in the house done. It's been a good morning. It's a sunny day here in Cincinnati, Ohio. Big football game tomorrow. We're all excited for that. We can talk more about that later if you want. But yes, it is good to be here. And let me know in the chat where you're from. So if you're new to the chat, here's how this works. If you're new to the stream, this is how this works. So feel free to put your comments, questions, whatever else in the chat, and I will respond to those the very best I can. I may not get to every question. I may not be able to answer every question, but I'll do so to the best of my ability. And sometimes if a viewer asks something that I cannot get to on the stream, I will get back to them on LinkedIn or whatever else, and we will, we can reconnect, after the stream if that's possible. Oops, sorry about that. So, what is new, in the land of the channel and everything else? So, let me know in the chat where you're from. Start putting your comments and questions in there, and we'll get this going. I usually go around 30 minutes to 45 minutes, depending on how the stream is going and how the conversation's going, and whatever questions you have. If it just keeps going, we keep going. But I never go more than an hour. So I have things to do today, and you have things to do the rest of your day, and I want to respect that. So what's new on the channel? To update you, excuse me. There'll be a new video coming out on Monday morning, so Monday my time, which is Eastern Standard US time. So there'll be a new video coming out on time series on a new forecasting error measurement technique, an accuracy technique that's coming out on Monday. And then we'll just keep going with the time series videos. I'm kind of getting into that and getting into more advanced things in time series, and we'll just see how far that goes, and I'll run that course as long as I feel like it's beneficial. So new video on Monday, please check it out. That really helps the channel. On that note, there are many ways to help the channel. So obviously the best thing you can do is just watch the videos, of course, but also sharing them. So sharing them on social networks, sharing them with colleagues or classmates or whatever else, what other environments you might be in, that really helps the channel. And I do have other ways, so I don't put this up very often, but super chats on YouTube are always helpful. PayPal tips are welcome, and it helps the channel a great deal. So a lot of resources go into making the videos, just aside from time, but I do have them professionally captioned for individuals whose first language is in English and who might be watching them in a place where they need the captions, which does cost money to do that. So anything you can do to help the channel, I really, really appreciate that. I don't ask for much. Every little bit helps. All right. So where are we watching from? And then we'll get to whatever questions or comments you might have. And of course, I have some things teed up as well. So Suresh, hello. Good to see you. Hope I'm saying that right. From Kathmandu. Excellent. Again, I try to pronounce everyone's name correctly as I, can see them, but if I do not, I do apologize. I will do the best I can. If you happen to live somewhere where I may not be familiar with how your name is pronounced, but Suresh, thank you for coming on the channel. What else we got? Roman. Hello, Roman. Good to see you. Greetings from Ukraine. There are many things I could say about you being in Ukraine, of course, but I think my heart up there says everything that I could say. So I hope you and all the people you care about and love are doing okay, and hopefully this madness ends soon. But I hope you are well, Roman. Alex S., hello. Hello. Good to see you, Alex. And you're from Germany. Greetings from Germany. So if you did not know, Alex, I was in Germany a few months ago, visited 7 cities in Germany. It was a trip of a lifetime. I loved being there in Germany. No place is perfect, of course, but I just had a beautiful, wonderful time in Germany, and hope to get back to see different parts of Germany, hopefully here soon. I love Germany. And then I went to Amsterdam, which was pretty cool too. about a month ago, a little bit less than a month ago. No, about a month ago exactly. All right, what else we got here? Texas lady Heller from College Station, Texas. Excellent, down in Texas. We got some family down in Texas, and they're in the Dallas area. So yeah, I've been to Texas many times for work and family type stuff. Hopefully I get back there sometime soon. So thank you for watching. Excellent. Kamala Kanan, I hope I'm saying that correctly, from India. Hello to all my viewers and watchers and subscribers in India. I always give you so much thanks, because without you I would not be where I'm at. The channel would not be where it's at. So I thank you for all your support. And as I always say on every live stream, I hope to get there someday. It's very important to me to get there at some point. So on that, just as a side note, anyone who is from India or has been to India, let's say you're someone like me who has never been, I've only been to Europe outside of the US. If I come to India for the first time, where's a good city for a first timer? Like if I were to make the trek to India, someone from the US, a good first city to visit, at least on a first trip. What are your thoughts on that? I'd like to know. Vidbot, what's up, Vidbot? It's good to see you again. Greetings from Sweden. Live streams are a highlight of any week. I'm not, that's a lofty standard to meet, but I will do my very best, Vidbot. So thank you for watching. Appreciate it. Of course, it's good to see you again, my friend. Good to see it. What else we got? Doing an awesome job. Continue your good work. Well, that's the goal. I can't do as much as I'd like on YouTube, of course, because I do have a career, a day job, and some other side gigs that I do. But, like when this stream is done, I'm going to turn everything off, grab my satchel, get in my car, and drive right down to the coffee shop and start doing some more work. So that's kind of how these things go. I do as much content as I can. I have a runway of content ideas that goes all the way to the horizon. I have so many ideas of videos I want to make, but I just do them when I have the time. And I will tell everyone right now, something to keep in mind is that if you're a YouTuber like me and you're monetized, where you earn a little bit of money off your YouTube channel, right now it is horrendous. So I just had my lowest month of making any income off YouTube since I started, which was 10 years ago. So it's really, really bad. And of course, that's because of economic factors. So if everybody wants to predict what's going to happen with the economy, and my prediction is 2023 is going to be horrible, especially later in the year, ask a YouTuber who's monetized. They will tell you what's coming up in the economy, because as soon as all the advertisers start pulling back, that's when you know. So we are the sort of the canaries in the coal mine of what businesses are thinking about in terms of their ad spend and what's coming up. And right now it is horrendous. It is so bad. Maybe we can talk more about macroeconomics, as we go, but yeah. Let's see here. All right. I'm getting up on your chats here. All right. So yeah, put a question as a comment in your last video. Be happy to hear your answer. Yeah, I'd have to go back and try to find that. Let's see here. Oh. Okay. So I did stop worrying. I found your comment, but you did it 10 minutes ago, and it's not really a question. It's a small essay. So maybe let's get back to that one. I can maybe take a look at it and, spend a few minutes to give you some quick response. I'd really have to go through this multi-line question question you just put. So I do see it. So give me some time, and maybe I can reply back with some quick thoughts. Okay, but I do see it. It's right here. All right. And just to show everybody, it's basically a question about. Let's see here. It's basically a question about the type of design. Yeah, about a type of design. So give me some time to look at that, stop worrying, and I'll see what I can do, okay? So appreciate your patience on that. Okay, back to my sort of side question. If I was a first timer to go to India, what's a good city as a first timer if I live in the US? So, yeah. So Chennai, Mumbai, and Bangalore. Okay, there we go. There's my list. There's my list. All right, so let me go back up to some of the other comments we have, and then we can go from there. While I'm waiting for any other comments or questions, I do want to share this so everyone knows what's happening. Go over to my Chrome. There we go. So obviously this is the channel here. I just want to really point out to everybody that almost all the content is organized into very well organized playlists. So if you're looking for a topic that you really want to go deep into and sort of binge watch, over a few days or whatever else, just go to the playlists. Of course, I have them arranged in terms of popular playlists. So those are, the regression playlists are obviously the most popular. But then, all the other playlists for stats are down here. Not every playlist is in here necessarily. That's a limitation of YouTube. It does not do a good job on the tools for organizing content. It's never been good, and it continues to be not good. So yeah, so I do have different playlists in here that you can find. Okay, but on the playlist. Also, on that note, I do have a little website here for those of you who did not know. If you're looking for more information on playlists, you can find it also here. So I have all the playlists listed out, what it covers, and then if you hover over it, it'll tell you how many videos are in that playlist, how long the playlist is, and the average length per video in the playlist. So if you're trying to develop some sort of, time schedule or plan to study a specific topic, just go here, look at the summary statistics or summary data for a playlist, and you can kind of plan out how long it might take to watch all those. Okay, so that's just on my website here. These are all the statistics playlists, and I'm going to put another playlist here for the time series stuff because I'm now up to 2 playlists in time series, and I'll put those here as well sometime this spring, I would guess, is when I'll get to that. Okay. Also want to point out, I'm not sure how much longer I'm going to offer these because it costs more money for the service to host them than I actually sell, honestly. But I do have these PDF companion guides for the most popular playlists. It's another way to support the channel. But basically, it's everything in that playlist. And let's go down here. So, the top of the page is the actual slide in that video. So there's a link to the video itself. Okay. There's a slide, the transcript, and there's a link to that point in the video where this all starts. Right here. Okay. So those are available on my website. And again, it goes back to supporting the channel. They're $20 US. And some of these are 300 pages, almost 400 pages long. It's a 400-page PDF with everything in it. So that helps support the channel. I do appreciate your support if you can in any way, of course, but that's one way that you will get something in return. So that's that. The downloads page is where you can download data sets for certain videos. Those are all here as well. I do need to add the data set for the time series videos I've been doing. It's very simple. We're not really doing a whole lot of, hardcore analysis or mathematical analysis, but I might just put it here just so you have it. And then The contact me form is here. So if you want to send me a note or a question before the live stream or just any other time, you can just fill this out. It goes right to my email. And then if I can get to it, I will try. I cannot always get to every comment, question, or whatever. One thing I do want to point out is every week I get a few requests for like in-depth help with like a problem at school or a problem you're working on in your business or PhD, something, whatever. And as much as I would love to like provide one-on-one help like that, I do not have the time to do stuff like that. I have a full-time job. I have a channel I run. I do another side gig. I have a house to maintain. So my time is very constrained. So what I'm saying is don't be offended or bothered if you ask me something like really long and in depth of help with something. I just can't do it. It's just, there's no time there. Time is valuable. So I do the best I can. All right. But that being said, you can submit this form and I might get to some more in-depth questions that you submit through here. All right. Okay. Let's go back to me. All right. Let's see here. VidBot just got a new book in econometrics in which they critique the sequential modeling method on the basis that sound theory should always come before any statistical test. What is your view? The background being that from a frequentist viewpoint, shouldn't the true relationship shine through given enough observations? So, I would say VidBot in general, I agree. Well, let's back up. It depends on the use. What is the ultimate use of this analysis? Is it just sort of a cursory analysis you're using for your own knowledge, where we don't need as much rigor, we don't need as much, background and dotting every I and crossing every T? Maybe not. We don't need this sort of level of theoretical background before a statistical test. However, I do think as the stakes go up, there does have to be some sort of, theoretical or whatever, long-term empirical background to whatever test that you're running, so that it's that's the nature of science and scientific inquiry. It's built through consensus, and these models and methods have built up over time through scientific consensus and peer review and stuff like that. And that's what makes them robust and strong. And those are things that you can count on in the right venue, right? So in general, I do think that any sort of modeling method or any sort of technique or any sort of, whatever, does need to have a sound theoretical or empirical background. And actually, if you're doing research, you have to have that. Like as part of the literature review process, and of course citing other results, you have to have it. It's a must. And there's a reason that scientific journals require that. And you think of yourself as just joining in on a conversation that's already has been ongoing. So that's how I kind of view that VidBot. It's situational, but it just depends on the venue that this is taking place in, the final outcome. But in general, yes. Yes, I do believe sound theory should come before any statistical test. All right. Okay. So Roman says, should probably add to playlist 20 video 8. There's outside this list on YouTube. Let me write that down. Thank you for that, Roman. Add to playlist 20. Excellent. Let's see. Looking through the comments. Oh, VidBot, thank you very much. Thank you very, very much, VidBot. That's very generous of you. I don't know all the currency stuff, but anything helps. If $2 buys me a coffee, and when I leave here today, I'm going right up to the coffee shop, getting my $2 coffee. I'm going to sit down and chug out some work for you all. So it doesn't have to be a lot, but I appreciate it, VidBot. Thank you very much. So I'm see if I can answer this. Let's see. I have a question in reference to Stats 101, sample mean, proximity to population mean, and confidence intervals, estimating sample size. Okay. So if I can understand this question, what is the effect of changing the number of samples taken? Let's say if we took 100 samples of 15 specimens instead of taking 9 samples of 15 specimens, then what else would you say here? This might be one I have to come back to because it's like a 5-parter. Let's see here. Also, what would happen if instead of taking many samples of a small number of specimens, we took a few samples of a large number of specimens, like 3 samples of 100 specimens? Okay. Can you provide a video that explains how the two methodologies might differ? In practice, we not be able to survey a large number of specimens, or may only be able to do it a few times. Okay, let me try to go back up here and follow this. This is a very long question. That's many, many parts. So confidence intervals, right? So a confidence interval is for a given sample size. So if I take a sample size of, let's say 15, or a small number, okay? So a small n is going to have a wider, the confidence interval is going to be wider, of course, assuming we keep it at like 95%, right? So for a given confidence level, that being fixed, a smaller sample size will have a wider confidence interval for the same confidence level. We'll just say 95%. All right. Now, as we increase the sample size, that means the confidence interval for a given confidence level is going to get more narrow. So more narrow, more narrow, more narrow. So what we're really talking about here is a sampling distribution. So if I had a large population and I sampled over and over again, 15 items, and I put all those means into their own distribution, that's the sampling distribution. And the 95% confidence interval for that would be wider than if I had a sampling distribution where each sample was 100, because each sample of 100 gets closer to the population mean. Now, that has diminishing returns, okay? So there's a certain point where increasing the sample size doesn't really get you much more, and that's the beauty of statistics. That's why statistics was invented, so we can have a smaller sample and then generalize to the larger population. So that's the general idea. But in practice, the way we usually do things is we take one sample from a larger population. So in traditional statistics, the larger that sample we assume is more representative of the population, the confidence interval narrows for a sampling distribution made up of sample means of n equals 100. And therefore, that's why the larger sample size is better. Okay? But that's only up to a certain point. But also, you have to keep in mind, too, the nature of the population you are sampling. So, are there subgroups within the population you have to represent? Then you might want to take a larger sample to make sure that all members of those groups are represented. So the whole foundational point of statistics is being able to generalize to a larger population from a smaller sample, based on the idea that up to a point, that sample represents the larger population, and doing more doesn't really get you anything. So that is the basic idea of sampling distributions, and why the confidence interval narrows or expands based off the sample size because it's a sampling distribution that's based off of. Okay, a theoretical sampling distribution. And there are many tools out there. There are many interactive applets and stuff like that that show you exactly how that works. So if you have a population, you take a sample, take a sample, take a sample, take a sample, and your N is small, it's going to be, your confidence interval is going to be wider. If you take a sample size that's larger, then that mean, the sampling distribution of those means will be much narrower and therefore closer to the population. All right. So that's the way it works. I know that was a very long answer. I basically just did another YouTube video right there. So it depends on, honestly, it depends on your methodology and how you might want to approach that. Okay. I'm trying to look through everything here. Video that explains that. Yeah, it's not really the way this works. So can you provide a video that explains how the two methodologies might differ in practice? We may not be able to survey a large number of specimens or may only be able to do it a few times. So the sampling distribution doesn't change. So if you do a sample of, 15 observations, you're still working within the sampling distribution of n equals 15. If you just do the next one, you're just going to have the same thing. That's why it's best to get as large a sample within reason as possible, so you're working within a sampling distribution of that sample size up to a point. Let's see. Yeah, I would encourage you to go to, I'm sure you already have, but I have several videos on confidence intervals and sampling distributions. Go back and take a look at some of those. I do this very, very explicitly, step by step, on how this sort of works. So yeah, there's actually, if I knew this question was coming, I could have pulled up a tool to show you, but I didn't know. It would be too fiddly to do it right now. But yeah, so in general, you want to take as large a sample as you can. That way you're working within a sampling distribution of that sample size. That's the best way I can summarize it. All right. Thank you for all your videos. They've been so useful through school and even useful to reference. Good. Refresh my memory on some topics for work. Excellent. Also learned quite a bit. Please keep this up. I will. I will do my very, very, very best. All right. Let's see here. This one I'd have to look further into. Help me with PhD. I was wondering if the Kindle Talby, which I don't have a lot of experience with, that's why I can't really go into a whole lot of depth, could be used with presence absence data, so binary data. I'm trying to see if there's a correlation between two types of pathologies. So this one, I'd have to maybe do some more research. Now, of course, you can do correlation. Well, correlation doesn't have to always be with two continuous variables, right? So you can do all types of correlations. Let me see if I can pull something up here. Yeah, so a non-parametric measure of association based on the number of concordances and discordances in a paired. So I will have to look, Nightingale, I will have to look more into this. Unfortunately, this is one of those questions that come up. I don't have as much experience with that. And I always admit when that's the case, and this is one of those cases. So I might have to look more into that. But what I'm going to do is trying to see a correlation between two types. Okay. This might be a good video, right? So this is one of the situations where I can't really help a whole lot in real time, but I will take a look at that and tell you what, if you want to message me on LinkedIn or send me send me this question through my website's contact form. I can have all the information, then I can maybe take a look into that. So whenever I come across something, that I may not have a lot of experience with, that's something I want to learn more about. So just send me some more information. Okay. All right. All right. Okay, this is another complicated question. KK asks, good morning, happy weekend. One quick question, regression, Ancova, which of course Ancova and regression are related, as I do in many of those. Which is the best way to practice statistics? I'm not sure about that. Let's see here. I have one real basic question about Ancova. In your video, you said that the covariate shifts the means of the groups when it's in the model. How does it exactly influence the means? So I'd have to go, it's been a while since I've done those videos. I'd hate to tell you wrong, but in general, the way Ancova works is through partial correlations. And the allocation of the sum of squares. So by siphoning the covariate, by siphoning off some of the sum of squares, that can change the partial correlations between the other variables. And I'm pretty sure that's how it works. It's been a while since I've done those videos. And of course, this stuff doesn't stay like in the front of your head, right? But I think I know for a fact, one thing is true, that analysis of covariance works, and similar things work, by splitting the sum of squares into different areas. And the covariate takes some of the sum of squares off to itself, and therefore allows for greater resolution between the other variables in there by pulling apart the sum of squares. That's the best way I can sort of explain it. It's through partial correlations and other stuff. So I had to go back and refresh my own memory. But those videos I did on Ancova were really good, I thought. They were really, in depth. But those are things the details, the nitty gritty, you just don't have like in the front of your mind all the time. The statistics brain kind of works the same way as the coding brain does on Stack Overflow. Right? Okay. But that's basically how, I'm pretty sure that's the basic gist of how it works. Okay. So, awesome videos. You are very welcome. Yeah, the only thing the best thing I can, say, these look the same. Haha, sorry. So Alex, that was my question about Ancova. And then KK was asking another question. How to go step-by-step practice, any material provide from your side, Brandon? Well, I do think it's important to practice and get some muscle memory with these concepts. Now, in my videos, what I try to do is provide multiple examples of how it works, and you can see different ways to apply these things and what types of questions these methods might answer, and what type of questions that may not be appropriate to answer, and kind of walk through those examples. On many videos, as you saw, I do provide those data sets you can follow along with. So if you go, here, so here are all the data sets. This isn't every single data set I've ever used, but there's, dozens and dozens and dozens of data sets here that you can download and follow along with. Actually, I think the Ancova one, actually right here. So here's the general linear model Ancova ones we were talking about before. So these are ways to follow along step by step if you want. And then any great, good textbook you can get secondhand and follow along with those sort of examples. Of course, there are examples on courses you can find online on Udemy, and that's just one of many where you can follow along step by step. So, but yes, practice. Get some practice, get some muscle memory. When I was growing up in school, I'm not sure how it is now. It's been 25 years ago, but part of the process in all my math classes, algebra, AP calculus, and whatnot, was just sitting down and hammering through a bunch of problems. I mean, there was no way around it, right? You just sit down and you just say, okay, here's your homework. All the odd problems from 3 to 55. And that's the homework, right? And you just go through them notebook by notebook. And that just develops. I'll tell you what it does develop, this practicing KK. It develops your vision and recognition of, it imprints things into your mind. And then when you see them the next time, you're like, you have it in there and you can notice the patterns. You remember the process. You get some mental memory, like muscle memory there. And it helps you develop your skills, right? You know what kind of problem it is. You kind of know the basic gist of what it's asking and how you might approach it. So I wish it was like, the Matrix, where they just plug the thing into the back of your head and download, everything there is to know into your brain. Maybe we'll get there. I think we got a lot closer the past few months, but right now the best way is just to hammer through examples. So, all right. All right, Nightingale, sorry, thank you very much. You're very welcome. I'm going to look more into that because I want to learn more about it as well. So thank you for the idea. KK asks, which book I refer for statistics? I am biased, but if you're talking about textbooks, I recommend two. Disclaimer is that these books are actually my day job. So I work on these books. I develop, learning content and do the help with product stuff and all kinds of stuff. That's the disclaimer. So the first book that I've been using for many years before I ever worked at my company is this one. So this is Statistics for Business and Economics. This is the market leading book by far in business stats. It's been around for many years. We're getting ready to release the 15th edition here soon. And because it's been out for a while, you can find used copies on various websites or what have you. This is a great book to keep on your shelf as a reference book. And it covers everything, from the very basics, all the way up through multiple regression, model building, non-parametric. It's all in here. So this is my go-to book. This was my go-to book before I even knew Cengage existed. I just happened to end up there. So this is the one I recommend. This is the 14th, but I think the 13th is pretty good too. If you go back too far, then a lot of the new material and new ways of explaining things and new content will be in there. But if you go back, 13th edition, or you might be able to find this 14th used somewhere. And then related to that book is the business analytics book. So if you're looking to get more into analytics, so this and the other book, same author team. Okay, so it has the same voice, the same feel. And what I love about these books, and I've always loved about these books, is the clarity. Like, it's just so crystal clear how they walk you through a concept, give you some examples. Then, of course, there are tons and tons of problems you can work in them to walk through. Now, you won't have access to some of the data sets and stuff, but there's enough problems in there you can practice on, or some examples you can follow. So these are always my go-to books when people are trying to learn, if they like a textbook type feel. And these books have been out this is the 4th edition of this one. The 5th is going to be coming out soon. It's going to be a burner of a book. Woo-hoo! Burner of a book. It's going to kick, pardon my French, 5th edition of Business Analytics is going to kick ass. Cannot wait to get that book out. So book link, let's see here. Honestly, you can just look on Amazon for these books. Statistics for business and economics. Yeah, if you go to like Amazon, for example, and just type in statistics for business and economics, you'll find it. So here. Now, obviously, you're not going to like buy it, the new edition here, full price or whatever. But if you go back to like the 13th here, you can find different versions, of that book. Same thing with the business analytics book. There are multiple, places out there that you can buy used books from. This is just one. This is just one. So that is one place you can start. Another good resource that I'm sure you all know about is the ISL book. So the Introduction to Statistical Learning book. I would call this a bit more advanced than the textbook I had up because it covers a bit more math in here. But I do believe this is free still, So it's a bit mathier in spots. So if you're looking for something like that, the ISL book is always a go-to. Obviously, I have it for a reference. I had it bound. There's also R code in here that you can follow along with. So, yeah. So those are. And look, I over to my right here. I have an entire bookshelf full of books. I could sit here all day and just pull books off the shelf. But if you're gonna, if you're just looking for good books to get the fundamental concept down, these are the books. So, all right. What else we got here? Let's see. Thank you very much. Yeah, so Data Expert Gambler. I'm busy with ANNs and backpropagation. My head almost explodes. Yes, I agree. I've gotten into some of that stuff, but it's just a matter of, just time. I've not been able to get too far into it, but I think at some point I will do the same thing. There are some great resources, as I'm sure you found out there, that kind of explain how those sorts of things work. But I will caution everyone here. I think this is a good comment to sort of make a side comment, is that the level of wanting to get down into the weeds on some of this stuff is really dependent on your final outcome. So for example, if I were in business, which I am, if I'm just a business person and I work in marketing or product management or whatever else, and I would just like to know a bit more about machine learning or statistics, there's a certain level that's probably good enough. Okay. Now, if I am a data scientist and have to like implement and write these algorithms and stuff, then I might need to know more. If I am a researcher for Procter & Gamble, a PhD track student, then I need to know a lot more. So I think just depending on like what level you're at, there's a point where your time is better spent on something else. That's just my opinion. So, everyone should learn as much as they want, but also I would just encourage everyone to realize that time is obviously limited. And sometimes these very complex topics can get very much into the weeds and very much into the math, and you see all this matrix algebra flying around. Do you really need to get into that? Maybe you want to get into it just out of curiosity, which is fine. But, I would just, I'm saying that because I don't want your head to explode. All right. So excellent. Following your videos. I started recently data science. I'm just following your stats videos to be best in core strong knowledge in statistics. Perfect. That's what it's for, right? That is exactly what my videos are for. I find that a lot of people come to my channel to learn more about statistics who have actually gone on to more advanced, type things that don't have the stats background and just need to shore up. perfect. That's what it's there for. So, all right. It's a great book. The books I held up are great. So yeah, KK, I did have those up on the Amazon page. Again, you may not buy them here, but if you just look for statistics for business and economics here, they'll pop up, and then you can either look here or you can look elsewhere, but at least you'll have the information you need. And of course, as Roman says, you can find by using Google, of course. All right. Let's see here. Go back. Let's see. Right. Dr. Pont, does the book cover ISM with a management example? Well, let's see here. Trying to look up. So, Dr. Pont, if you're talking about like the index, is that what you're referring to here? So the manufacturing index. I was making sure I understand what you mean by ISM. So, if you're still on the stream, Dr. Pat, let me know what you mean by ISM, because there's so many acronyms and stats and stuff that it's hard to keep them all, and people use them differently. So let me know what you mean by that if you're still in the chat, and I will do my best to answer. So, yeah, how to get the book, wonderful stuff. I would just follow the links I put in Amazon. So look up statistics for business and economics and business analytics. The author is Cam and others, CAMM. You'll find them. Those are the authors. All right. So, hello, Brandon. Rakov, how you doing? Good to see you again. Not sure if you have had a chance to experience the ChatGPT thing. I have. I did so. But if you have, would you love to hear your experience and thoughts? Well, this could be its own entire live stream, couldn't it, right? So, like most things in life, I'm kind of like try to be moderate and in the middle on most things. And like with ChatGPT, there are people who are spelling like, this is the greatest, savior to mankind on this end. And then on the other end, it's like, this is just doom. We're all just bound to be unemployed blobs, just shuffling around. The first thing about ChatGPT and other things, in my view, is that there's no way around them, right? This is the new normal. We're just going to accept that this is the new normal. My experience with ChatGPT when I was using it, it was a bit hit and miss. When I put in some prompts, especially like coding prompts or whatever else, that was really extraordinary. It literally just gave you the code for the whole whatever you needed. Crazy. However, when you ask it other things, it's a bit hit and miss. And actually, you can trick it into giving you wrong answers, right? So my experience with it, my limited experience with it, is that it still has a ways to go. And it's up to us to learn how to use it to our advantage. Especially like someone like me who works in education, it can have some serious implications. But what I've started to do, and this is just the way I've started to approach it, the way I've thought about this over the past couple months is this. These sorts of tools are here. They're here to stay. They're not going anywhere. We could wish them away if we wanted to or whatever. They're here. Now, what can I do on the human side to be a good complement to it? So what I've started to do is really, really get back into honing my skills in things like critical thinking, business analysis in terms of business problems, creative strategies, you know, how to really come at a problem and formulate potential solutions and communicate that. So I've tried to figure out what skills will complement things like ChatGPT and other AI things, and then work on those skills in my own life. That's what I've started to do. So it's a tool like many other tools. It can be used for good, for bad. It's up to us to just think about how we want to sort of approach it. But it will not, in artificial intelligence, the artificial part is the computer. The intelligence part is still the human. So that's kind of the way I sort of see it, as just something else we can utilize. And hopefully we can use those tools to free up other higher levels of human thought and human creativity and problem solving. And that's a good case scenario. Is it going to impact certain professions? Absolutely. Already is. So many of you might have seen or know of the site or app BuzzFeed. So, BuzzFeed laid off a bunch of workers and went all in on AI content, and like their stock like doubled or tripled or something crazy. So if I can find that. Let's see. Yeah, here it is. Yep. So here's an example. So BuzzFeed says it will use AI to help create content. Stock jumps 150%. So there you go. Obviously, Microsoft announced it was going to invest in OpenAI. So that should be very interesting to see how that goes over time. So I just think it's something we all just have to live with, and we're going to be figuring out over the next few years how to integrate it into our daily personal lives, our professional lives, our educational lives, and just kind of see, where it goes. But I do think like this is a moment, like there's a before and an after in certain points in life. This is one of them. There's a before this, and now there's an after this, and everything's going to change for good or ill. Don't know yet, but it's going to change. And I really do think, however, that the human element is still a very important part. And I think the important part of that is the higher level thinking and critical thinking, problem solving, problem formulation, observations, being a keen observer of the world. Those are all human things. And they're going to be extremely valuable to use along with the AI type technologies we're going to have. So I would encourage everyone to really, focus on those type of skills that aren't, there's nothing wrong with it, but they aren't coding or they aren't the nitty gritty stuff like that. It's the thinking. Everybody should work on thinking. So, most of the time I tried to get into ChatGPT, I couldn't. It was full and overloaded. So I'll get into more of that hopefully soon. But yeah, it's a before and after. It's really a monumental shift going forward. And we're just going to have to figure out how best to live with it and make the most of it, because it's not going anywhere. Okay, back to this. So Dr. Pound, you said interpretive structure model. So the stats books I held up do not cover that. They're just more traditional basic stats books. I do have some more advanced books over there, but I'd have to go through and, look through the index. But I know the two books I held up do not. They're more for like undergraduate statistics. That sounds like it's a bit more advanced. Interpretive structure modeling. Okay. Yeah. So okay. Yeah. So iterative structural modeling. Yes, that's going to be more advanced than what those books cover. Okay. So now everyone comes back and start learning statistics. In the future, was the impact of statistics in world industries? As long as as long as there is data, we're going to need analytical methods for extracting useful information from it, and doing, you know, predictions, prescriptions, and all that kind of stuff. Then we're going to need it. So it's only going to increase. The need to have these tools is only going to increase, you know, and we don't need, for certain things, you don't need a terabyte of data to answer a question. Some things you do, but some things you don't. So just having a quantitative analytic knowledge set and skill set, and namely how to think and formulate, how to observe, how to think and formulate a problem, take that problem, attach it to a method, and then implement that method to that problem, get your results that you can then communicate out to whatever stakeholders they're going to be. That is the key. So as data becomes more ubiquitous, these strategies and tools are just going to become more valuable, and we will always need them. You know. So, all right. Let's see here. So Vibot asked regarding using existent theory versus data mining to build a theory from the bottom up. Isn't theory essentially recognized long-term patterns? And when should one trust the data in the face of a theory? So I tend to think, Vidbot, of a theory as something that has been honed over longer periods of time through multiple rounds of research, validation, peer review, and then a consensus is reached, you know? And we use the word theory like we kind of bat it around like the theory of gravity. Well, you know, gravity. And we can go on the moon and test the theory of gravity. We could go on, you know, wherever else we're going to go to based on the mass of the object, and that theory holds. You know, and we can slingshot probes and stuff around the whole solar system, and the theory of gravity empirically holds. So I tend to think of a theory as something that is just built up over long periods of time through validation, peer review, and sort of stuff like that. At its core, how we get to that could be, you know, through a data mining process or some other thing. But it takes long periods of time, I think, to really develop sound theoretical, you know, foundations upon certain things. So isn't theory essentially recognized as long-term patterns? Yes, but to me, the long-term pattern isn't the data stuff. The long-term pattern is the validation, peer review, you know, and the repeatability. That's the long-term pattern. And when should one trust data in the face of theory? Never. I don't mean that flippantly, but you know, we don't trust. I don't use the word trust and data in the same sort of sentence, because trust is something different. So when it comes to data and data analytics and stuff like that, I subscribe to the methodology, subscribe to the process that led to whatever outcome. That's what I put my trust in, is the process, not the outcome. And the process is really the theory. And that theory comes through time, validation, research, consensus. And that is how I view it. But that's just me. You know, that's just me. Doing something once and getting one answer out of it is just anecdotal. It has to be repeatability. It has to be validated. That's the pattern. All right. I think we're getting close to the end here. This has been a great live stream. You all are freaking awesome. Awesome. Can I make a video on it? I wrote it down, so I have it here, interpretive structural modeling. I will take a look into it and see. I'm always looking for ideas, as I mentioned earlier. But I am right now, doing all the time series videos. Again, if you're in the live stream, you just came in or came in recently, new video coming out Monday morning, Eastern Standard Time, on forecast accuracy. And then I have a lot of stuff lined up, just going on sort of through that. So I'm going to continue making those videos and releasing them. I find it very interesting. I tend to make videos on stuff that I think people need to learn or should learn or need help learning, and things I'm interested in. If it tends to be those two things, that's the best sort of situation. Okay. All right. So I think I've gotten all the comments and chats. This has been a great live stream. You all really are incredible. I appreciate all your kind comments, but I really mean it. I'm not like, I'm not being performative when I say that. When I say that you all are really the people that deserve all the recognition, not me, not people like me. I spend, 10, 20 hours making a video. In a month right now, my viewers spend 200,000 hours. So, who is really giving up the time? It's you all. You all are the people that deserve the kudos. You all deserve the recognition by putting in the time, putting in the work. So I thank everyone for their comments and stuff like that, and super chats and PayPal donations and whatever support you give. But really, it's you all that deserve the credit. So I truly feel that way. That's why when I make a video, I don't release a video unless I think it's worthy of your time. If it's not good enough, I'll go back and keep working it and massaging it and getting it exactly where I think it needs to be to earn your time. And that's how I approach making these videos. Vibot missed the viewpoint that the inherent patterns, however long-term, does not equate to theory, but the process in itself is the theory. Yes. And that's why, we say trust the process or whatever. Most of science and exploration and, development is really about finding processes that create repeatable results. Not the result itself, but the process of discovery, the process, that's what, like, for perfect example, just real quick, because I know I want to wrap this up and you all need to get on and with your day, and I do too. So the miracle of the COVID vaccine isn't the vaccine. What's the miracle of a COVID vaccine? The miracle of the COVID vaccine is the process by which it was made possible, which in that case is mRNA, which of course had been developed since SARS. It was the process that made it possible, depending on whether you got one or not or how you feel about it, doesn't matter. The process, the speed at which we got the COVID virus and then the COVID vaccine is a miracle of humankind. It is an absolutely astounding miracle that we had the scientific process in place, we had the governmental process in place, the regulations in place to make it happen. The vaccine was just the side effect of the process. It doesn't mean processes should not be questioned. They get better by being questioned. They get better by being honed. They get better by being challenged. That's how they get better. And that's what we should always do. Okay? So yes, the process itself over long term time is the theory, because it makes empirical results repeatable. All right. Did Expert, thank you for the super sticker. I really appreciate that. That goes a long way. It helps, I really, really, really appreciate that. I'm going to use, I won't, not directly, but I will use that to go pump my gut full of coffee to make more videos for you all. All right. Roman says, thank you. Thank you. You are very welcome. The thanks is all mine. Trust me, the thanks is all mine. Motion Parallax, I've been following you for years as a student. Now as I work as a teacher. Yes. All these years, you've been a wonderful source of inspiration. Oh, that's very kind of you. Thank you. Thank you very much. So I almost went into higher education, and then I was like, you know what? I can teach like 25 students a day, or I can teach 15,000. So I'll teach the 15,000 and do it part-time, So, and it's worked, I guess. But thank you. That's very kind of you to say that. And again, thank you, Data Expert Gambler. Thank you. All right, everybody. It's been well over an hour of this live stream. It's been amazing. I love it. You all are fantastic, and I'm just so amazed by all of you. You all are my inspiration. When I see you all, look at the analytics on my YouTube channel and see you in this live stream, there's hope. There's hope out there because there's people like you all out there learning, doing the work, thinking, self-critiquing, taking criticism, be willing to be wrong, and then you use that to get better, and then get better, and we just get better. So that's awesome. Awesome. So the next live stream will be in 2 weeks on February 11th. February 11th is the next live stream, and we will pick up here where we left off. And there were some great ideas for conversations in the live stream today. So if you come back on the 11th, please bring some more ideas. And we can talk about those. And I'll try to look into some of these other ideas. So being very modest. I don't know if it's modesty. I'm just grateful. I try to be grateful and give back. I've been given so much in my life, and it's just my way of giving back in some small way before my time on this planet is over, and that's okay, So, love you from India. Love you all too. I hope to get there. I got recommendations for cities to visit, so I hope to get there in the next few years is my goal. All right. Well, I'm going to wrap this stream up. So I'm going to go down and get some work done for you all. That's going to be the next few hours for me. So thank you so much, you all, for coming on the live stream. I really appreciate you taking your time to sit with me today. And I will see you again in 2 weeks on Saturday, February 11th, 2023. Take care. Bye-bye.